I've finally found the best solution for a drum machine plugin, sample library organizer, and drum programming workflow. Today I'm going to tell you about it. Hey everyone, I'm Wilson, and today I'm going to be reviewing XO from XLN Audio. That's a lot of letters, but it is a drum machine, drum sequencer, and drum sample library organizer from one of my favorite plugin companies, XLN Audio. This plugin is essentially an 8-slot drum machine with great sounding mixing tools, but the best feature of this, in my opinion, is its ability to organize all of your drum sample libraries. So if you've ever used Native Instruments and gotten some of their expansions, you know that you just get a big pile of junk. And it's really hard to sift through all of those different, like what is Midnight Vibes or something, and how do I find a snare drum from that? All of that you can drop directly into XO, and it will organize it, put it on a scatter plot so you can find things easier, and just really make your drum workflow a lot better. I dare say it revolutionizes it. All right, so this is XO. I've got it pulled up here. And you can see there's a number of things and a bunch of colored dots and stuff along the top and stuff along the side. So I'm going to explain briefly what everything does, and then we could dive into a little bit more of how to actually use this. So this first category right here is space, and this is kind of a scatter plot of all your samples. So every single dot is a sample. They're all color coded and organized based on like length, tonality, like how high or low it is, and all of that kind of stuff. So really helpful way to find things quickly. And then the next tab here is edit. So as you find sounds you like, you can load them into kind of your drum machine here, your 8 slots. So in this area, you have a bunch of common tools, and I'll go through all that more in depth in a bit. This next tab here controls your sequencer. So if you just hit play, it'll play your sequencer. If you hit sync, it will sync it to your DAW speed. So then if I hit play, it automatically syncs with the DAW. So if you do want to work in a complete sequencer-based workflow, you can do that. This section here is your preset loader. So this is all the presets that I have, whether it's from me or from XLN Audio or whatever. This is all your preset loading here. So you can go through and click to audition the different presets. They also have a unique workflow on the side where you can hear the same pattern but switch out all the samples really quickly. So if you want to quickly like cycle through different kits, they're not pre-assigned, it's just samples that kind of sound similar and work together in a similar way. Over here, this little button is the export section. So you can export all your raw stems, processed as in affected stems, all of the stems of your sequencer, and then the stems of your kit as a whole. So that's super helpful. You can also export your whole beat and your whole beat as MIDI. So that's like crazy flexibility there. You can hit render waves and it just generates it all for you. And then it's as easy as clicking and dragging out onto your DAW. Done. We're beat makers. Next is the search tab here. So this search tab works best in combination with the space, and you can simply click through and say, okay, I only want kicks and I only want K-pop kicks. So that's simple. The coolest thing about this is you can add your own user folders. So if you go over here to the sample folders section, you can actually drag and drop all your own sample libraries. So if you have like third-party samples that you've collected from wherever, just drag it all in here, hit scan and refresh, and it's going to process it all, sort it all, and add it into your XO library, which I love. That's the most helpful thing. So I've done that with all of my Native Instruments libraries. You can see here, it's like Platinum Bounce, Certified Gold. So if I actually want to use those, it's way easier to utilize them here because I could just say, okay, I want all the Certified Gold samples. And now they're all pulled up. So now I'm going to walk you through building a kit from scratch, selecting your samples, kind of mixing it and getting it added into your DAW. So I'll close out all of this and let's go to all, and there's this init preset initialize. It just completely zeroes everything out. That's usually where I like to start. So we'll click the check for that, and I will go ahead and use only the K-pop samples for this because I'm into that right now. I'm excited about it. So let's just start with a kick. So we can filter by kick here. We've filtered by K-pop, and we'll just zoom in and kind of see what we can find. That one's kind of good. Is there like 2 there? So if you like, sorry about that. If you like a sample, you can either heart it or add it to your shortlist. And so what the shortlist is like, hey, I kind of like these few. I like that too, so we'll shortlist it. And then you can quickly kind of A/B those 2 over there on the shortlist. Okay, I like that one the best, so once you've decided what you want, you can go ahead and load it here onto one of your slots. So by default, you've got 2 kick slots, snare, clap, hi-hat closed, hi-hat open, and 2 flex. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the first kick. If you want to cycle through similar sounding samples, once you've already loaded one onto a drum machine slot, you can just click this and it will cycle through basically the most similar sounding, like the most nearby samples in your grid based on your filter here. So if I were to open this up and it would include more, then it'd be a tighter circle as it's searching, if that makes sense. Next, we'll go ahead and add a snare. So I'll come over here, switch it to snare, zoom out, head over to snare land. Oh, good, done. Great. Let's see what else there is. So I'm going to turn off the filtering there. That one's great. I'll load that on a kick too. That's cool. So we'll deal with that kick thing in a minute. There's some cool tools to help with that, but I want to finish building out the kit here. So I'm going to look around for some claps. These are the pink ones. Is that it? 4 claps? Where are you at, claps? Okay, I'm going to open this up to everything so we can have lots of claps here. So if you click and hold while you're dragging, you can kind of see where you've been. That one's good. I'll load that. Great. Let's look for a hi-hat closed. I'll go back to just K-pop, so I'll select none of them and then click K-pop. Like that. Awesome. All right, open. That's great. Let me find a couple cool percussion samples to fill in these flexies. I like the cowbell. I'll put it in flex 2. Just want like little blips and blops. That could be cool. Whoops. Oh, dang it. So let's check those. I like that. Maybe the cowbell's a little out of place for this one. Just do a little blip. So we got one thing I didn't mention is these 8 samples are triggered from C1 up to G1. Let me open the piano here so you can see what I'm talking about. It is right here starting on C1. Just so you know where those are for your programming. I wish it was spread out a little more, but you might be able to tweak that. Let me see, settings. No. Okay, well, you can't tweak that. I feel like that's a miss. I feel like you should be able to tweak that. But anyway, I will go ahead and put down a beat so we have something to listen to while we start tweaking and messing with the edit page and the other things that this program can do. All right, so here's the beat I put together, and I made sure to use all the elements of the kit. And then we can start to get into how to mix it and how to make it sound better. Great. Okay. Into XO, I'm going to go over to the Edit tab. So to start, we have basic controls for volume, mute, and solo, and all of that over here. So I would recommend starting there and just kind of roughly mix like that thing is loud, whatever you want to call that. Hi-hat's a little loud, I'll turn that down. That 808's a little loud. Open hi-hat's a little loud. And then we can pan it right over here, so maybe we'll put the closed hi-hat on one side. Put that on the other side. All right, we're getting somewhere. Next thing, and this is one of my favorite features, next to the pan, there's also one next to the pitch. But this will, for the pan, it will delay one side slightly to give you that, I think it's called the Haas effect, where it suddenly spreads it. So I love to do that, especially with claps, because it helps to give width to the snare sound without making your snare super stereo. So here is without it, and then I'll turn it on so you can hear the difference. Here's with it. Just like so much wider and more spread. The pitch thing does a similar thing, but adjusts the pitch a little bit differently on each side. So I think it's lower on the left, and this would be lower on the right, I think. I'm going to pitch up the snare a little bit. We also have a transient designer here, or an envelope, whatever you want to call it. So you can add transient to things, remove some decay. So on the kick, I tried to add a little transient, remove decay on the tail. Kind of tighten things up a bit. You also have a tone right here, which is just a tilt EQ. So the more you turn it to up, basically, the more highs and the less lows you're going to get. And then the more you turn it down, the more lows and the less highs you're going to get. So I'll show you on this hi-hat. Nice. Next section here is your cut, and this is a simple low and high cut filter that you can apply on stuff. So say for the kick, for instance, if we just didn't want it being a super low endy kick, we can start to pull this up. So that's helpful. We could also do that on like some of our higher elements to clean up the bottom. Get a lot of that junk out of there. I didn't know if there was much or not though. I know there was some on these, so let me listen. Just pull that out. Cleans it up a little bit. Okay, you also have a velocity sensitivity control, and this is going to affect how the sample responds to MIDI. I haven't spent too much time with it, so you can mess with that and figure it out if you want to. Okay, this playback section is really important. This is going to let you assign mute groups and outputs. So mute groups are basically if one drum plays, it'll stop the sample of another. So a good example of mute groups would be on these kicks here. We could assign them to mute group 1, and then maybe on solo stuff. So in this instance, when the 808's playing and I play the kick, it'll cut off the 808. That's a really nice way to keep things clean. I'll also do this on the hi-hats. So I'll put them on mute group 2. In that way, when the open hi-hat triggers, it'll be cut off by the closed hi-hat. nice and tight. Okay, you also have your outputs here. So if you want to set up the multi-output mode, you can go right here, assign it a bus, and then those buses, depending on what you're using, will show up inside your DAW. So in this instance, I'm using Logic. Let me open my mixer here, and I can make up to 8 buses off of XO, and then I can quickly route everything right there. So I can come here, and they have this quick route, which is awesome. So, you know, lane 1 to 8, which are these, you can send it right to bus 1 to 8. And then if you want to include it in the master, you can, which will be this original stereo track, or just the straight up bus. It will not go to the stereo track. So now you can see just like that, it's all multi-output routed. I'll show you the to master as well. So we'll do auto route plus master. So now they're all coming here, and they're also all going to the individuals. It's great, super flexible, exactly the tools you need and nothing you don't need. I love that. And then if you want to reset them all back to the master, you can do that as well. Okay, you have 2 effects units built in. They are right here, and you can basically set them. They both have access to the same effects, so you don't feel like you have to do reverb on one or whatever. And you have effect sends right here. And then you also have master effect sends for the kit. So let's just start with some snare. Send some clap there. Let's try a different one. I like the dark room. We'll make the length shorter. Put a little bit in there. And you can control the overall level and tone of the reverb right there. Now let's do a bigger one, like a bright plate. Nice. So right here in this kit section, you can control the overall level of all the elements in the kit. So we just bring it all down, all up. You could do the whole pitch, which is helpful if you just want like to hear what it sounds like. That's cool. And then you have whole kit effect sends. So if you just want to send the entire kit to the room, you do that there. You also have a little master processing section, so you can add a little bit of crunch to it. They have a few options here, depending on what you want. I usually just like a little bit of transformer just to give it some texture. They also have soft clipping here, which will gently just stop your mix from clipping, your drum mix from clipping. So if we start to turn this up, it will not clip. So that's also really nice. You have a cut section here where you can just roll off the overall frequency response of your whole kit, and that's really helpful too. So you could probably automate that for filter sweeps and stuff too if you wanted. I'll briefly touch on the sequencer section, although I don't feel the sequencer is the strong point of this program. But basically with the sequencer, let me take out my hi-hats and program do hi-hats. Okay. So sequencer, basically set it to sync. And now you can see it's running when I'm playing in the DAW. And then you can just click and drag to put in notes when you want. So basically you have two sides, you have an A and a B, and then you can set it if you want it to chain, which means it'll flow A into B type of thing, or you can do 3 A's into 1 B. But that's about all you can do with it. So I've found the best workflow for this is just to make some cool stuff and export it. So like I kind of like this one, but it repeats too often. So what I'm going to do is hit this export button, hit render waves, and then get this closed hi-hat stem and just drag it into my session, and then I'll make something else cool. So just trying to think what would flow after that. Thinking, okay. And then down here they have this little button to do like the little rolls. And you could drag up to add more of them. So if I want like 3. So again, come over here, hit render, just drag that sample out there. And then when you're done doing this type of thing, just uncheck sync. That way it doesn't keep running in the background. And then we can just drag these over and it'll play with our beat. And then I'm actually gonna cut these in half because I think they ran too long. So we'll do like this kind of thing. So that's how I like to use it, because otherwise it feels a little limiting to just have that small of a pattern. But you could come over here and make something different on the B side basically. And then when you set this up, it'll kind of go back and forth between the two. And again, make sure you don't hit play while that's playing because it's a lot. So that's a bit about what you could do with the sequencer. You could also nudge it if you want it to be slightly faster or slower, like behind the beat. Let's see, let me pull these out and we can mess with that. So it's like behind or ahead. You also have swing there. You also have a global swing, all of that kind of stuff you can mess with as well. There's also an accentuator, which will accentuate certain beats. And I've actually never used this. Okay, so you could drag up there. So if you want to accentuate the quarters. Oh, that's cool. So you can mess with that too. That's a unique way to kind of add variation and life to the loops that you're programming. Another cool little feature this has is called the sample combiner. And this is just another way that you can cycle through sounds and quickly change how your kit feels. So right now, basically on this left corner, you have all the sounds of our kit. But then you can start to click through different options for claps. So if you want this one, you can do that and just start to click through basically what you like. If at any point you want to take that sample back to the beginning, you just hit this left corner, it'll snap back. If you like one and don't want it to change, you can lock it. So I really like these, I'll lock them so they won't change. Snare I could take or leave. Clap, I like, and then you can hit randomize and it'll just pick a new batch randomly. This will refresh the list. So I like that. That's better. But that gives you another way that you can filter through everything and all of that. They can even apply the filter directly to this window. So it's a really unique way to just deal with the amount of samples we all inevitably end up with. So who is this for? Who is this not for? If you are producing any sort of electronic music, you could probably benefit from this. If you have a large sample library and are overwhelmed and like can't find things, I would definitely recommend something like XO. Who is it not for? If you're primarily doing live instruments, live drums, live band type stuff, and you don't need programmed beats, you probably don't have a use for this. However, if it's completely new to you and you want to get into programming your own beats, like analog kits and stuff like that, this could be a good option because it comes with a great library of sounds to just get you up and running. And then if you want to pick up a couple expansions to really get like a certain genre dialed in, you can do that too. Pros and cons about XO and the expansions in general. I've only used the K-pop expansion. However, they marketed it as having like 75 kits. And I was like, okay, like I can get behind 75 kits, but it's actually 25 kits and each one has an original and 2 variations. So, I don't love when companies do that because it's not really like 75 kits to me. That's 25 kits and then you tweaked a couple samples and a couple things and made it 75 kits. So I don't love that. But other than that, I do think it's very genre correct and a lot of the patches and presets are ready to go quickly. And I could say the same thing about their core library. If you want me to do a separate video going through all the different sounds, I can. But they've sorted it into a few different categories and you can quickly get in and find what you're looking for. Also, the majority of the kits are something that's usable right away, like mix ready. I've seen a lot of times, I don't want to name names of companies, but I've seen sample packs or kits and presets and stuff that aren't really that tangibly usable for me. It's just something to note. I think the price is fair. It's about 120 bucks. That's fair. It's not like the cheapest thing, but it's for what you're getting and all the sample organization, I think it's well worth it. But I'd love to hear from you. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite drum machine is, and I would love to check it out if it's not one I've used already. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you on the next one.